Hello, everyone. Welcome to Right Click Save As, a series where we talk about Web3, Metaverse, and NFTs from a marketing, community building, and future of work angle. Today, I have Mika with me, and I'm very excited for this conversation. As usual, I always say this in the beginning, but welcome, Mika. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
So we've had amazing conversations before, like very thought-provoking, eye-opening on many fronts. And I feel that our audience is going to get so much out of this conversation as well. And they will probably also remember you from a previous vlog that I was doing. And we had a conversation and I was, just vlogging during that conversation. So if anyone remembers, just put an emoji saying, I do, or a wave of hand or something of that sort. That would be cool. So Mika, you were previously a product manager at LinkedIn, Kumu, Ripcord, probably other companies too, experience in other companies too. And currently you're a Web3 builder, content creator, and you're working on so many things, and you already launched an NFT collection too. So we're going to talk all about that. Did I miss out anything? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, no, that's really comprehensive. Yeah, background. I was born in the Philippines, came to the US, and have stayed here since. And background, as mentioned, is in a bunch of startups such as Ripcord and Kumu, which is the content and live streaming out from the Philippines, and then also big tech at LinkedIn. And then last year, I have started exploring ideas in both creator space, and that's where my first stint as a content creator and YouTuber started, and create content around crypto and Web3, much like this channel. And also exploring ideas within the crypto Web3 space, helping a bunch of founders and companies see their businesses and their visions to success. So yeah, really excited to be here. It's pretty surreal. I'm a fan of this channel and now a part of this channel too. So very excited.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm sure my audience loves your content as well, or they will if they haven't yet checked it out, which they're going to find all the links in the description box below. Mika has a great YouTube channel, as she just mentioned, and it is primarily focused on crypto and Web3, right? Like that's how the content originated, and you're actually producing like really thoughtful or really comprehensive content on the topic. And I just noticed when I was just kind of taking notes of the links that you're very close to 1,000 subscribers, which is going to be a big milestone. It's so exciting. Yeah, so exciting. You're doing so much. Like, how do you balance it all? What does your day-to-day look like? Do you have a day job? Because you're doing so many things. I actually don't know like the balance between those things. That could give us a little more context.
Yeah, my main day job is exploration around the startup idea. So going deeper into this question of how do companies, including NFT founders, Web3 companies, manage the finances and make sure that that is squared away. So digging deeper and building products and experimenting in that space. That's the crux of what I do. And maybe is my typical 9 to 5, 9 to 6, or however longer. And then on the side or the weekends, I try to produce at least one video per week. Nowadays, it's been per 2 weeks, but I still have my YouTube channel active. And really the goal there is to help onboard more people into Web3, which is a big passion of mine, especially for people who are usually in the or underrepresented groups, right? So there's similar to this channel, a friendly female and woman person helping onboard people in a non-hype, welcoming and friendly way is the way that I like to put it. So that's like maybe a side project or something that I like to do in the weekends. And a couple projects that we've talked about in the past. So the NFT Playbook, for example, was also a side project, so to say, but it was all in pursuit of figuring out and learning more about the Web3 space through conversations that I had with people like yourself, or compiling my insights and building with and for the communities. I still think one of the best ways to contribute to the ecosystem and to build long-lasting products is to also figure out what the problems are and building with and for the community earlier rather than later. And I learned a lot just going through that process of building something earlier on.
Yeah. And so I love a couple of points that you mentioned there. I'm just going to kind of go back to them and kind of highlight a couple of them. So one of them was, you always build with a solution mindset, which is something I appreciate so much. And you're always kind of the communication starter, is just my observation. Like communication starter, you are an active participant, and you hear about what other people's problems are in this space, and then you try to figure out the solutions to their problems, which is, like, from my standpoint, it's the best way to create any kind of product, any business. It actually solves a true problem. So I love that, firstly. And the other is the way you explained that you're creating the content, or you're positioning yourself in such a way that you want to be a friendly and non-hype, like bring that non-hype vibe, which is something, again, I appreciate so much. That's also my position. That's always been my position, honestly, to be just like this friendly and safe, like providing that friendly and safe space for people who want to onboard. For my case, it's always been marketers, obviously. And, in the past, it was just more expensive, like just marketing industry in general, or marketing skills in general. Now it's like marketing in Web3. And I feel it's so important to be that safe and maybe not very loud, not very hyped up, like buffer zone for people who want a more comfortable entry into the space, which is where I think I came across your profile first, or maybe we met through Odyssey DAO. I can't remember exactly where we met, but that is like, I keep talking about and referring to Odyssey so many times in so many of my videos, because it's been the first that non-hype community that I was able to find when I was trying to learn about Web3, and they have grown so much. Are you still an active member of Odyssey?
Yeah, well, so Odyssey, I was most active at the very start. So before we did our crowd fund, and as we were figuring out exactly what should Odyssey do, involved in the very start. I'm still part of the admin group and contribute ideas here and there, though not as heavily involved as the team leads, and want to give them all the credit for like the growth that Odyssey has gotten so far. But yeah, very, very similar and aligned missions. And that's the reason why I helped start it from the very beginning, is want to onboard more people into Web3. There's so many things to learn, and we want to make sure we do it in a very intentional way that's welcoming and not dissuading what voices and people that should be a part of it otherwise.
Yeah. And for anyone who's listening right now and still in the phase of, hey, I'm exploring Web3, where should I go? What is a good resource to go to? I would 100% recommend checking out Odyssey's content, joining the Discord, following them on Twitter, whatever platform is your ideal one, then follow them on there. But I think you're going to learn a lot and find very valuable content. Okay, so I want to come to the content creation piece, or the content creator, Mika. I think you also have a newsletter. I don't know if it's active, but you're also active on Twitter. You have the YouTube channel, which is a lot. I know, because I do the same as well. It is a lot of work, but I wanted to maybe touch upon, like, where does building your personal brand fit into what you want to do in Web3? I'm asking this because we talk a lot about personal branding on this channel and how that is so important to find your voice. And we also talked about like building in public as well in another conversation. And I feel like this is where it all comes together. And I just had a conversation with someone else yesterday about, again, it is like, when you start creating content or work on your personal brand, when it's pretty early on, when the space is just kind of moving and evolving, it's very advantageous. And I know that this has brought me so many opportunities. So I wanted to see like what it's like on your end.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think yesterday I was just talking to someone who was a friend and saw that I created content around NFTs, and she wanted to start her own NFT project to help some communities that she cared a lot about, and reached out to me and called me an NFT expert. And I was like, I'm very far away from that, but I appreciate the thought. And I think it was because of being in the space fairly early and building a brand and learning in public at the same time. But yeah, to maybe outline the way that I see the value of brand building, first and foremost for Web3, and the biggest impact way to build your brand is definitely on Twitter. And I was maybe only started doing it last year, but has paid a lot of dividends, and does it in three ways. One, I think eventually, right, my main goal is a startup. I think once I start tweeting about my company and putting it out there, it's going to be much easier for recruiting and hiring, because a lot of people within Web3 or even just tech are on Twitter already. So it'd be good for brand building and attracting people there. Second is also attracting customers. So main target is going to be founders, people who are building their companies. And so a lot of people are also already in Twitter. And you, for the most part, for your company, want to be doing most marketing over sales, and building a brand on online becomes one way to be able to do that. And third, I feel it today already as well. When I was starting my YouTube channel, the alternative or the thing that I didn't expect to happen was that my communication skills were just much better. I usually, my content creation pre-YouTube was mostly writing, and I really like writing. I think I built a good habit of writing pretty concisely up to that point. But even then, when I started YouTube, I noticed that the way that I spoke, the way that I talked to other people was also very much improved. I lessened my ums. I still say but it was so much better. And
it's a difficult habit to
it's very
leave
tough.
aside.
Yeah, I did it via YouTube, but I also noticed that I was doing it even in normal conversations. It's just lessened ums, which I said it again. But it was a really interesting habit, which just trickles out. There are a lot of communication skills that I was able to learn, and it was all because of the process of creating these videos, building my brand through creating content and learning and building in public. So it's another interesting 100% side effect of it.
I love all of the 3 points. Now that we've talked about I feel I'm going to say it more, and I'm going to realize I'm saying it. One of the things that I also think it brings your way is you don't actively have to search for jobs in the future if you would need to, because I currently have so many leads just coming over in my inboxes just because of the content that I create. And I feel for anyone who is, relatively new to this space, that is very important, because instead of chasing after clients or chasing after followers, you're kind of getting those leads because you're providing value to the space, and you're providing value to your readers or viewers. So I feel it's super, super important. And so I want to tie that into how your personal branding and how building in public and sharing this publicly has helped you launch and bring attention to the NFT Playbook. And maybe actually I went a little bit ahead of myself. So I need to first ask you about the NFT Playbook, because we haven't talked about it yet. So maybe, okay, I'm going to come to the other question later, but why did you decide to create the NFT Playbook in the first place? How did you bring it together? And then we'll get to how your personal brand and how you building in public helped the launch.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, I decided to fully launch the NFT Playbook because a tweet that I made went viral. So I delivered on it through delivering the NFT Playbook. So
yet another opportunity then, or another side benefit, right?
Yeah. So the story behind that was that I was talking to a bunch of NFT founders, right, in pursuit of figuring out, okay, what do I want to be building for this cohort of people? Let me just understand their problems. Let me just understand who they are, what they care about. And through that process of talking to NFT founders, as well as working behind the scenes with a bunch of NFT communities and helping them launch their projects, as well as launching a couple of my own, I gathered all these insights about launching an NFT project, a lot about community management, a lot about community growth, and then tweeted saying, hey, I talked to so many of these NFT projects. Do people want to hear about these insights? And that was basically the tweet that went viral. A lot of people really wanted to learn more about how to launch quality, successful NFT projects, especially with a focus on community, which is very new or very different in Web3 in comparison to Web2. And so when that went viral, I was like, okay, time to deliver, and continue to have conversations with NFT founders. Now with this added tweet to kind of show, hey, we already have a bunch of people who are interested in this topic. And also was great to then be able to reach out to other NFT leaders in the space, including yourself for Ninja Squad, including Crypto Coven, Chain Runners, Zeneca, World of Women, etc. So it's really great to also hear their perspectives and how they grew their communities, and then compiled all those insights into this ebook of sorts. But I also wanted to take it a step further. To access the ebook is also launched as an NFT. And so built out the infrastructure for that, and built out basically a subscription type thing where you can choose which tier of NFT you want, and then mint that and get access to the playbook.
There's so many learnings along that way. You've learned how to launch the NFT collection, which has lots of different layers of information that you need to go through. And then also all the conversations you had with the founders and leaders that gave you all the insights. And I'm sure the knowledge that you gained from that is priceless.
Yeah, it was so great to hear those stories behind the scenes. And so it's also a way for me to do extra user research and learn more about how to launch successful NFT projects and share those insights with the broader group.
True. And so how was the launch? Like, how did you prepare for the launch? How did you get the word out? Was it what you expected? I find the launch is very stressful and very challenging. Yeah. I don't know if it was the same for you, but I've personally done it 2 times already. And it is so stressful. And also what comes after the launch is usually very challenging and stressful for most collections that have a utility. In your case, that's very different because it's already like available there. But for those that need to still deliver after the launch,
I'm not sure I understand.
That is sorry, Siri, you just scared me. So that's another like stress phase. But how was it for you? How was the launch?
Yeah, so the launch was quite fun, but agree it was pretty stressful. So what I did was, for the most part, everything was on Twitter, but we did have people sign up from that initial tweet that I posted, and we pre-launched it to them. So they were able to get access to the website and mint the NFT, etc. And then after that, we had a fully fledged launch, had another like tweet thread, and got different communities to retweet it as well. I'd say the NFT that we had was also atypical, right? So it was really less so a profile picture collection, and the goal wasn't to necessarily mint out. The goal is to make sure that the right people were seeing the project and getting value out of the content that I was creating for them. Because the goal wasn't to be a speculative type project. I'd say from my perspective, it went well, and that got a lot of good feedback from people reading it, and all these testimonials, and all these people saying like, wow, I learned so much, like this was so much more value than I thought I was going to get for what the state of NFTs are today. So it's really nice to hear, and still continuing to find the right communities to continue sharing the knowledge that is packed in these NFTs, and finding ways to make sure it's going to the right folks and giving quality insights to those folks.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very great point. I mean, you mentioned that the goal wasn't to mint out, but to find the right people. That's because it's a very different type of NFT. I'd say it's almost like a course in a way. Or purchasing an ebook. It's of that sort, but it is a tokenized version basically. So anyone who's like listening now and is new to the concept, that's I guess the structure that you can think about it as. And so what I wanted to ask you again is like, what were some helpful things that, or what are some maybe highlights from the insights that you gathered that are in the NFT playbook that our listeners can take away? What can be some helpful things for marketers? Maybe just the highlights. Obviously, we're just doing the teaser, but there will be links for people who want to check out the NFT and what it's about. I think there's also the free version, so you can start reading there. It has also been one of the top sources that I keep referring to when people ask me about, where should they start and what are some credible resources to review and read. So let's get some like insights and highlights from the knowledge inside.
I'll maybe focus on, I think that the crux of the NFT playbook was a lot of the community growth and community engagement sections, which I think is also very relevant for marketers in the space. I'll maybe highlight 2 or 3 that I thought were very interesting, or maybe also non-intuitive. First off, I think a really typical and really well done strategy is if you already have someone of influence that's able to market the NFT to their audience, right? So I think Ninja Squad had a really great example of that for kickstarting the community. And maybe for some other communities, it's finding those partners that already have an audience and creators that already have an audience to kickstart the community to then grow. The challenge for most NFT projects, though, is that not everyone has that unique advantage, or everyone has that sort of partnership with people who already have a big audience. So what do you do to kickstart given that? And there are 2 really interesting examples that I really like that are part of the community growth section. One is providing value to an existing ecosystem. So I talked to this community in Solana Bananas, and the way that they kickstarted their growth was they were a part of Degen Ape Academy and basically built a game, like banana related game for DAA that was also incorporated with Solana Bananas. So bananas and apes. So
love the
some
idea.
Relationship there. Built the game, really like no intention of anything other than making sure that DAA people enjoyed it. And they did. The leaders of Degen Ape Academy really valued that there was someone building for the community, and so helped inject their existing community with the Solana Bananas community as well. I really like that notion. Maybe a step further than that is Solana Bananas also received the same thing on their end. So another community, another NFT project, Savannah, which is sort of a metaverse like gallery type game as well, said, hey, Solana Bananas, like we want to provide value to your community. Do you want to be featured in our project? You don't have to do any work at all. We just really love Solana Bananas and we hope we can partner with you. So Solana Bananas also received that same value, value given to their ecosystem and to their community. And so they're very eager to partner with Savannah's, because then they were getting some value of effectively marketing from Savannah's without having to do the work. I thought that was a really thoughtful way that Savannah's
I love it.
Partner with existing communities and grow, right? So that's one, providing value to an existing ecosystem, having those partnerships for communities that you already care about, and using that to inject your first few community members. The second one is, I titled it as do the thing that doesn't scale. So example here is I interviewed Yohei of Pixel Beasts. So what they did was they said, okay, here are the types of people that we want in our community for the long term. So they're like a very tech focused community. So we want investors and founders and builders to come into our community and talk to each other, talk about the trends in Web3, et cetera, all together. Okay, so these are all the people that we want. These are the types of personas that we want. Okay, to kickstart our early members, who are the 100 people, specific people we want to be a part of this community. Let's list them out and then DM them specifically and say, hey, we really want you to be a part of this community from the very beginning. Do you want a free NFT or do you want to be a part of it? And so that's do the thing that doesn't scale, in that, you know, DMing 100 people and listing out 100 people, that's a lot. But they wanted to be really intentional about their first few users and seed it with the right people, because then later on it'd be much easier to attract the people that you want long term, right? If there's a like 20 investors there that are very reputable in the scene, then founders will also be like, oh, cool, I get to be in a community of other investors. Let me join them. I think this parallel behavior can happen for any community. If you want a creator community, who are the 100 creators that you want in that have the right values, the right long-term goals, and can align with the vision of the community, and start from there.
I love both of those ideas so much. So like it's priceless that you share them with us. They're really not typical.
Yeah.
It's not what comes to mind as the first thing to do when you want to start building an audience, a community, but they are so thoughtful and so intentional. I love it so much. I mean, this is a very common question by most people that want to start NFT collections. Clearly, you know, I have this amazing idea. We are this amazing team and we're bringing so much experience, but none of us have an audience. And so then begins the challenge, and it's very difficult to kind of hack that. And a lot of people get stuck there, but these are just two brilliant ideas to go about. And I'm sure there are many more brilliant ideas in the NFT playbook. So that is for sure priceless. And I really love do the things that are not scalable. It is an approach that I actually embrace myself on a personal level as well. Like I use it in many ways. And again, to repeat, but like we just had this conversation with Kyle that I interviewed yesterday, because on a panel that I was on with him, I talked about how we do the things that seem like there is really no analytics attached to it. It really is not scalable, but having those one-on-one conversations with our community members, for us, it wasn't the community growth phase, but we do it primarily when it's improving our solutions, improving our utilities for the community. We do that, you know, the unscalable thing of talking to people one-on-one. Like whether it is interviewing, whether it is DMing on Discord, it takes so much more time than just doing a poll, for example, and getting people to vote. But those are the conversations that have left the most impact. I mean, both on the community members, but also on our strategy as well. So love that. Just a moment, sorry, I keep getting these pings. All right, finally, I want to talk about the opportunities that you see in the space for marketers, or not only for marketers, but maybe people who want to join on the community side as community managers. What are the opportunities that you see currently, and how would you position yourself if you were just, you know, kind of getting involved or in the enthusiastic, passionate stage? How would you get involved in the Web3 space?
Oh, so many opportunities. I actually think that the number one and number two, maybe even tied, asks that I get constantly for these NFT communities or even Web3 companies is, I need a community manager, or I need a marketer. Like, can you find someone for me that also knows the Web3 space? So just a plethora of opportunities. I think the hard part is actually figuring out the choosing which one to say yes to, or choosing which one to get started with, because there's always going to be a lot of people searching for these community managers and marketers. And for anyone that is enthusiastic about getting into the space, what I would suggest, and this is also kind of my journey figuring out where I wanted to get started with is trying a couple things, and two, starting with communities that you already do care about. For me, for example, I drew out, okay, so there's the NFT world, there's the DeFi world, there's the DAO world, when I was just exploring Web3 in general. And I tried a couple things in that I tried to dabble in some DAOs, I tried to do the different DeFi strategies, and I tried to understand NFTs. After trying a couple things, I then also intentionally said, okay, I don't want to focus on this. I only want to focus on this. So for example, I don't want to necessarily build a company in DeFi. I think it's interesting to do for my own personal finances, but I'm really more interested about NFTs or infrastructure plays, that kind of thing. So trying a couple things and then figuring out which ones to say no to, and focusing and starting from there. And then second is building with and for the community. Once you do have a niche set of areas that you feel most compelled around, having the intention of just giving back to some of these existing communities already, and then opportunities will be clear from you from the very start. And again, it's I think the harder part is choosing which ones to focus on, choosing which ones to say yes to. So making sure you have the right alignment in terms of just the communities that you care most about and starting from there.
Yeah, and it's not easy, but I guess everyone kind of has to go through a filter of what they don't want or what they're not best aligned with. I mean, that was also my journey as well. Now I feel like the communities that I'm a part of, I feel aligned with, and either I am able to provide some value to them and I could take some value from them. But in the beginning, it was just an abundance of communities and on my radar, and I just figured out which ones weren't for me. And I think that's just the best way to do it. And so with that said, what are some of your top sources that were really helpful to you when you just got started? And what are some resources that you're currently consuming content from, or people you follow or would like to refer to?
Yeah, well, I think you should check out this girl on YouTube. Her name is Mika Reyes. No. But yeah, check out my channel, Mika Reyes.xyz, if you want to check it out directly. But actually for me, Odyssey DAO is a really special place in that, and when I'm learning something new, I think it's important for me to have an intimate group of people that I can ask my quote unquote stupid questions to and not feel afraid to do so. Odyssey DAO was one of those groups, especially when I was first getting started, and also the reason why I was very invested in the group from the beginning. So whether it's Odyssey DAO for anyone, I generally just recommend having an intimate, close group of people that you trust, and you trust their insights, so you can learn together. Definitely consider Odyssey, if anything, or just make your own Telegram chat with people that you care about.
And just a little paragraph there. I interviewed Peter from Odyssey before on this series. So I will also leave the link to that in the description, and probably will also attach it over here as well. But that was also a very good conversation on what Odyssey is doing, the vision, and what people can find in Odyssey. So highly recommend checking that out.
Awesome. Yeah. And then I think on Twitter, there's just a plethora of awesome people to follow. I have to think about who exactly. Maybe
it's hard, right? There's just so many.
Yeah, I have to. One person who does come to mind is Gabby Goldberg, who has a list of. She's a VC. She has a list of really great articles. I believe in Notion page articles that help anyone just get ramped up into Web3 in general. So yeah, Gabby Goldberg. Check her Twitter out, and I think she might be linking that resource on her Twitter page.
Oh, cool. I think I might have come across her Notion page. I couldn't recall the name, but I think I came across the Notion page because I wasn't able to find any others, but there was one which is super comprehensive. It has all the key lists and names and websites and resources just linked on one page. We're probably talking about the same one.
Yeah.
It was very good, but I wasn't able to remember the name. It's good that you just kind of refreshed my memory.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for the recommendations. Thanks so much for the insights. It was so valuable, I think. And thanks for taking your time this evening to have this conversation with me. Appreciate it so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the channel. Again, a really big fan and so excited to be a part of it. And always thank you for also sharing your insights and having me on.
Yeah, and let's get Mika's channel to 1,000 subscribers, people. Like, yes. It's so close. We can do that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much once again. And people, everyone watching us, please like, subscribe, share this amazing video, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.